If you've been wanting your questions answered after reading parts 1 and 2, well, I'm here to tell you that in part 3 you finally start to get them. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. You're with Chris, and thank you for joining me for part 3 of my epic reading vlog of The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. This part primarily focuses on the two of my favourite characters ever at the moment, and that is Kaladin and Shallan. Now, after reading this part, I felt that with both the characters there is some sort of big awakening happening in the background, and that they're both on the precipice of great change and destined for a greater purpose. That was the overall impression I've got on this part. Now, Kaladin, we'll start with him. He's come a long way in bringing his Bridge 4 team together, and you know, they hold him in awe now and respect him and pretty much borderline love him, particularly after an event that happens here. Now, there's no spoilers here, but for those who have read the book, I am talking about chapter 35. Who remembers chapter 35, right? What a chapter. This ordeal that he experiences, I swear to God, I held my breath through the whole bloody thing. It was just, can't even describe it because of the stakes, and you're just willing Kaladin to survive. That's all I'm saying. You have to wait until chapter 35 yourselves if you haven't read this book, but absolutely incredible. Now, after this event, he begins to form a plan of action with his Bridge 4 team, which I won't spoil. You know, things are going to come to a head pretty soon, I think, within the war camps, and he's taking measures to take a certain type of action. Now, what held me on the edge of my seat through all this was Kaladin's backstory catches up to the present, finally, because from the start of the book there are hints at his past and events that happened. I mean, at the start of the book we don't know why Kaladin was in the slave caravan. We don't know what happened in Amaram's army. We don't know what happened with Tien at the time, and we don't know what happened in events happening in his hometown of Hearthstone. So all those events culminate in this part. So all the questions I had from the start of the book are answered in this part, which I think was a masterstroke on Sanderson's part, because he hasn't saved all the revelations until the end of the book. He has actually delivered a little bit of fan service and granted your wish, basically, because you want these questions answered, and he comes through with the goods. But I really like how we find out why Kaladin despises the Light Eyes and what made him jaded towards them, because he hasn't had the greatest experience with the Light Eyes, and that question was finally answered as well. And the events leading up to, or the events in his time in Amaram's army was really it was a revelation, and I was happy to get those answers. I was finally after. It was actually like a scratch that you couldn't itch. And at the end of part 3, OMFG, that's all I'm saying. Okay. Now, it also explores how Kaladin views the world as well in detail here, because he has a lot of demons that he's wrestling with at the moment and fighting, and he feels like a failure because people he cares about have died, despite his best efforts to save them. So he's harbouring a fair bit of survivor's guilt here, because he's still alive, and he believes he shouldn't be worthy of living because he has failed all these people. And it gives you the impression that he's protected by something and he's destined for a greater purpose. So he's being saved for something absolutely huge, but we don't know what yet. Alright, moving on to Shallan's arc in part 3. Now, her story advances quite well because she is coming close to achieving her goal in committing something that will save her family. Now, just a bit of background here. Her family back in Jacques Kved, something happened with their father. Their family used to have a really good name, but now that something has happened, debt collectors come calling, and of course the funds, the money from the family has run out. and it's up to Shallan to take measures to ensure the family's survival moving forward. And she can only the family can only hold up a pretense for so long before the shit really starts to hit the fan. So Shallan is under a lot of pressure to deliver on her promise to her brothers back home, and things really reach a fever pitch here because things escalate very quickly in her quest, and there are things that happen that unravel her plans, which is, you really feel for her, because even though she's doing something wrong, you still have some sympathy for Shallan here. But things begin to spiral out of control very, very quickly, and her plans are placed in jeopardy, and there's so much tension here. Every time she's doing certain things, you're thinking to yourself, don't get caught, don't get caught. Now, both Shallan and Kaladin have, what would you call it, an esoteric experience each. So it's something that happens to them on a spiritual level, which indicates to me that something big is in the works, and both of them have a special place in future events. That's all I can gather at this point, because we don't know yet. I don't know if I'll get answers to those questions until later books, but we'll see. But after the third part of the book, people tend to skip over interludes, I've heard, but don't do that. If you're going to start this book for the first time, don't skip the interludes, because they're really important. Especially now, again, everyone that has read the book knows what I'm talking about here with interlude number 9. OMFG, one of the best battle scenes I've ever read in my entire life. It was just incredible. You can imagine this scene in your head, and imagine if it was adapted for the big screen. People would have their jaws on the floor. And this particular character, he's very, very complex and conflicted, and he commits all these actions that he doesn't quite have control of. And it's just fascinating. And what this character does in interludes 9, my mouth was open wide reading that interlude. It was just absolutely unreal. But look, guys, at the time of filming this, I'm well into part 4 now. I have just practically hit the 80% mark. I am nearly done. Now, I plan on finishing this one. Today I'm filming this on Saturday, and I think Sunday night I hope to be finished. It'd be great to finish the book at the end of the week and start a whole new week fresh with something a little bit lighter. Not that I'm complaining, because I've enjoyed every moment of this book so far, and I'm almost going to be sorry for it to end. And it's going to be very I'll need a lot of discipline to not move straight into Words of Radiance, I swear to God, because I love these characters a lot. And I've spent nearly 2 weeks with them, and you can't not have a rapport with these characters and root for them and feel for them. And a book like this impacts you so much that I might be tempted, if I drop something or something annoys me, I might swear and say, oh, Stormfather, or Storm it, or bloody storm winds, or but that's a little bit tacky, isn't it? But this book is absolutely unreal. Now, next week, hopefully, if I finish the book on Sunday night, I should be able to deliver part 4 early next week, maybe mid next week. But I'm thinking of releasing part 4 and 5 of the vlog back to back, because part 5 looks very, very short. So I might just release them back to back in separate videos and wrap the whole thing up in a neat little bow, and have some final thoughts and recommendations and why you should read this book if you haven't already. If it is on your TBR, finish what you're reading now and open this book, because you will not regret it. Brandon Sanderson, I had no idea he was such an incredible writer, and just the way that he delivers on what's promised in the book is absolutely incredible. So there you go. Now, after reading this one, maybe not right away, but very shortly after, I will be going straight into Mistborn Era 1, and then I will be going through the standard Cosmere reading order. So I'll be reading everything as it should be read, or as it's suggested to be read, and can't wait to get into Words of Radiance, which I might have to skip a book or two, I don't know, because these characters are absolutely unreal. But then on the other side of the coin, I don't really want to get into the other volumes of the Stormlight Archive too quickly, because December is a long way away and I really want to be ready for book number 5 in the Stormlight Archive when it is released, because as I said in a previous video, I'd like to be done with Rhythm of War maybe late October, so then I've got a 3-month clear before diving into book 5 along with everyone else who is going to be rabid about it. I think there's excitement there already for book 5. So many people are looking forward to it because it is the final book in the 5 volume arc. So obviously it might end on a really big cliffhanger, but there's 5 more books projected in the series. I hope we get to read them all before we get too old, but because I am getting old. But it's a great time, and just can't wait to read more within the Cosmere. So bring it on. Alright guys, well that is it for part 3 of my reading vlog for The Way of Kings. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for sticking with me through it. And it's almost over. I can't believe it. I've had such a great time. But please like and subscribe for more awesome content. And if you have any feedback, or if you've read the book, let's compare notes. Tell me what you thought about that chapter 35 and interlude 9. I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are. But yeah, until the next video guys, happy reading.